Hi guys. Yes, it is me. I have my hair down. I know I never have my hair down, but yes, it is me. We have another story for you. This story is called Mr. Impossible, and he is so funny. So let's see where we are. Mr. Impossible could do the most amazing things. For instance, Mr. Impossible could jump over a house. You try it. It's impossible. Maybe don't try it. And Mr. Impossible could make himself invisible. All he had to do was stand there and think about becoming invisible, and he disappeared. You try it. It's impossible. And Mr. Impossible could fly. All he had to do was stand there, flap his arms, and off he flew. You try it. It's impossible. And Mr. Impossible lived in an impossible house. Have you ever seen a house in such an impossible place? Of course not. It's impossible. One day, Mr. Impossible was out walking when he met a boy called William. William was on his way to school. "Hello," said Mr. Impossible. "Hello," replied William. "I'm William." "I'm impossible," said Mr. Impossible. "Really?" asked William. "Really?" said Mr. Impossible. "Can you do impossible things?" asked William. "I haven't come across anything that I can't do," said Mr. Impossible. William thought, "Can you climb that tree?" he said, pointing to the biggest tree in the wood. "I can do better than that. I can walk up the tree." And he did. William thought again. "Can you stand on one hand?" "I can do better than that," said Mr. Impossible. "I can stand on no hands." And he did. "That's impossible," cried William. "True," said Mr. Impossible. Then William remembered he was on his way to school. "Why don't you come with me?" he said. "But I've never been to school before," said Mr. Impossible. "Then it's time you did." "Come on," said William. William and Mr. Impossible sat at the back of William's classroom with all the other children. The teacher came in, but didn't notice that there was somebody different in the class. "Good morning, children," he said. "I have a very difficult sum for you to do today. It will take most of the morning to work out the answer." And he wrote the sum on the blackboard. It's a bit like when Mrs. Campbell writes our sums on our interactive whiteboard. It's kind of like that. It really was the most difficult sum William had ever seen in his whole life. Full of multiplications and division and addition and all other things that William does not enjoy. The teacher was right. It would take most of the morning to solve that, if not most of the afternoon as well. Mr. Impossible whispered something in William's ear. William put up his hand. "Yes, William, is there something about the sum that you don't understand?" he said the teacher. "Please, sir, is the answer 23? The teacher was very, absolutely, completely and utterly amazed. "How did you work that sum out so quickly?" he said. "It's impossible." "Nothing is impossible," said Mr. Impossible from the back of the class, and stood up. "Well, I never," exclaimed the teacher. After that, Mr. Impossible spent all day in school. He showed the teacher how he could read a book upside down. "That's impossible," said the children who were watching. "Absolutely," said Mr. Impossible. Then William asked Mr. Impossible if he'd like to play in a school football match. "Oh, yes, please," he said. "I've never played football before." And you know what he did? He kicked the football so high into the air that when it came down, it had snow on it. What an impossible thing to do. Then it was time to go home. Mr. Impossible said goodbye to all of the people at the school and then said goodbye to William. "Goodbye, Mr. Impossible," said William. "Goodbye, William," said Mr. Impossible, and just disappeared. William rubbed his eyes and went home. William's mother and father were waiting for him. "Hello, William," they said. "Did you have a good day at school?" "Yes," said William. "I met someone who can do anything in the world." "Oh, really, William?" They both laughed. "You're impossible." William smiled and went inside. 100 miles away, a small figure was listening to what William's mother and father were saying. He grinned an impossible grin and went to sleep, standing on his head. And we all know that's impossible. Hope you enjoyed our story, and we will see you again tomorrow.